Hi guys, this is CK at CK Education, and today I just want to share with you another student story. Today is a girl named Isha, and she was my student several years ago. I remember she was very active. She played volleyball and was very involved. She did a lot of things, and she traveled to a lot of places as well with her family, and so she was very active. Years later, her brother also became my student, but she was interested in the sciences. And the interesting thing was, and her GPA was pretty good. Her GPA was about 3.7, unweighted. She didn't take that many AP classes. She took maybe 5, 6 AP classes in her entire high school career, but she was a good student. But she struggled in math. Now, maybe you struggle in math as well. A lot of kids struggle in math. I've had so many kids come to me and say, Mr. Kim, I suck at math. I got a D in pre-calc or whatever. And I got kids like this. And I've taught kids at all levels, from the lowest to the highest. I mean, some kids are getting 15, 20 on their SATs and come to me and say, can you help me get up to 1580 or 1570 or something like this. So I've every level. But she was one of those kids that really struggled with math. And in fact, looking at my notes here, her starting score in math was around 460. So it's pretty low, right? 460. And her starting score in reading and writing was about 630. So she was actually better in the reading and writing sections. Her total score was 1090. That's that's where she started. So what we did was we started with math, and I taught her the 30 most important math rules for scoring high on the SAT. These are rules that I've researched and organized and tested over many hundreds of students. A lot of people think that the math on the SAT is high level. Especially converted after March of 2016, people were intimidated by it because they said, it includes pre-calculus, and they're very intimidated by it. But in fact, SAT math is fairly low-level math, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy. It is still pretty challenging because it's very tricky. It's not like school math. It's not like SAT subject tests where you can pretty much expect what you learned in school. SAT math is very tricky. It's not really high level, like sophisticated. It doesn't have calculus or differential equations or matrices or asymptotes and things like that. And you really don't need a scientific calculator, a graphing calculator. I've never ever used one of those in my life for the SAT, so you really don't need that. You just need a basic calculator. But the problems are a little bit difficult because they're tricky, and kids have forgotten a lot of concepts that you need for the SAT. So anyway, we went over those, and we started practicing those things. And after I taught her that, we went over many exercises to help her sort of apply those math rules and those math concepts. And then I started to teach her math strategies and tactics and how to solve certain problems and so on and so forth. So she went up and she made steady progress. And so at the end of it, remember, she started out around 460. She ended up on a real test getting 620. So she went up 160 points. And with the writing and reading, she started out, like I said, at 630. She ended up at 700. So she had a 70-point increase in that. So she had a total increase of 230 points with her final score being 1320. And so, with the grammar, with the writing section, I taught her the grammar rules, and we went over exercises and tests and so on and so forth. I think for her, we spent a lot more time doing math and taking math tests and doing math exercises, going over math rules again and again and again. It's not like you have to learn everything about it, but there is a certain threshold that you have to learn a certain number of things, and you have to master a certain number of things in math in order to in order to see the test as repetitive. So when you see the problems, you're like, you get to a point where you think, oh, I've seen these kinds of problems before. And at first they're all new and they're just very different, especially when you're, solving my math exercises. They're very different than the SAT test problems, and they're very different than anything you learned at school. But that's on purpose, that's intentional, so that you can shift your mind from school to SAT math, and also to know how to do these problems effectively and efficiently. Okay, so that's what she did. So she started with me and was with me for about 36 classes, and that turns out to be about 54 hours of class time. So about 54 hours of class time, and she raised her score from 1090 to 1320. So that was pretty good. That was a pretty big jump, 230 points. And again, a wonderful student. She had a great personality. This was actually when I had an office, in-person office, and students would come to my office to attend classes. I now teach every student online through Skype 100%, but it wasn't that long ago that I used to have students who came to my office. But she was even before that. She was years ago. But anyway, she did very well. And but I just wanted to share this story with you, because I know a lot of you struggle with math, and a lot of you think that you suck at math, and you might just think, I've never been good at math. And I think the thing is, though, it's probably not that you suck at math. It's that in public schools, you learn math and you learn something one day, and then you might not see it for a long time. In fact, you may never see it again until you come across the SAT. And so you've naturally forgotten those things. The other thing is that, a lot of teachers, when you have a class of 25 or 30 kids, they can't wait around for 1 or 2 or 5 students. Even if students don't understand something, they have to just keep moving on. And so that's very unfortunate, but it's just a reality of things. And I think the other thing is that you guys learn things at a certain age. They never tell you if it's important or not for later. And a lot of times students don't see it the next year, so they think, I must never need that again. They forget about it. And then it comes back to haunt you on the SAT. But one of the reasons I teach every student only one-on-one is precisely for this reason. First of all, I think students ask more questions. They're not intimidated. They're not as embarrassed. And you should never feel embarrassed. I always tell my students, you should never feel embarrassed to ask me a question. Even if you've asked it 5 times before, you should ask it again if need be. But yeah, when you're in a class or in a group setting and you don't get something, it's a little bit intimidating and embarrassing sometimes to raise your hand and ask the same question 3 times and have all these kids looking at you. So, it was one of the big reasons why I teach every student one-on-one. But again, I just wanted to share this story. If you struggle with math, it's probably not because you suck at math. It's because, you just have forgotten a lot of things and just need somebody to teach you and step by step, how to be successful in the SAT math. But like I said in my other videos, if you're interested in becoming a student, best thing is go to my website, ckeducation.org, and fill out the SAT prep application form. And I don't take every student. I only take on about 25 to 30 students at a time, and I have a year-long waiting list, but I'd be happy to consider you. I do consider every application that comes in. And but in the comment section in the form, please write your reason for why you think you would be a great fit to be one of my students. And I promise you, I will read that and I will get back to you personally. I don't hire other tutors or other teachers. I teach every student myself. But I look forward to hearing from you. And until next time, have a great time, and I will I hope you join me for my other videos in the future. All right? See you later.